My mother-in-law calls every night to ask what we're having for dinner. Then she brags about what she's cooking to make me look bad, especially if we're getting takeout. I used to care but not anymore. But my husband would ask me to make dinner only for him to go eat the dinner his mom makes at her home, which is 10 minutes away, and using the "that's my favorite meal" excuse. Yesterday, I wanted to surprise him by cooking one of his favorite meals, and although I was busy, I took time off work to cook. I even went grocery shopping to get what I needed. Later, as I was setting the table, his mom called. I told him he didn't have to answer, but he did. Like usual. She asked what we were having but acted surprised that I cooked this meal. She then went on to tell him she cooked X meal and told him to come over. He said okay, which shocked me. I said, seriously, as he started dressing up getting ready to leave. He told me no offense, but this meal, that his mom cooked, was even more of a favorite than the one I cooked. And grabbed his keys and left. I felt awful. I took his plate and threw it out, then ate my portion. As I was about to put the plate in the dishwasher, he got home looking angry, saying his mom lied about cooking that favorite meal, and used it as an excuse to force him to eat dinner with her. I was shocked, but he sat down telling me to go ahead and reheat dinner. I told him no dinner after he abandoned it. I threw it out. He said what? And I told him he disrespected my time and effort and chose to go eat with his mom instead. He began yelling at me, asking if I really did that, then called me petty and horrible, then went upstairs saying what I did was 100 times worse than what his mom did. I definitely feel like I let my anger and frustration get the best of me, but it really felt unbearable having to live like this for so long. By the way, I'm 26 and he's 28. ETA to make one thing clear, and that's the fact that my husband only does this when it comes to food. He lived with his mom, attended community college, and loved and still loves her food and is used to it. She gave me recipes to make and I try to do that, but he keeps switching homes just to eat what he feels like. Next story. Hi everyone, I feel like I need a general opinion check here. So for context, I'm late 20s F. Occasionally take my daughter, almost 1 yo, to a small coffee shop in the local mall. I'm a WFH mom, trying to run my company and to finish my postgraduate degree while raising my kid. While my husband spends all day at work, it gets a bit much sometimes. His workplace is one of those that demands a ton of team building activities, etc. So he's often away long after hours. Anyone who's been home alone with a baby will know how tired you get and how hard it is to keep them a good company when you're cooped up all day. So now that finally the plague has been clearing up in my area, we've decided to start going places a bit more. There's a local mall with an open plan locally owned coffee shop. The place has 3 walls and is otherwise completely open into the mall lobby with a fountain, some of those coin slot kid attractions and such. I've decided to try it and have a coffee there a few months ago and found out my daughter loves it. She will look around sitting in her stroller while I drink my coffee in peace for once. The waitresses love her and know her by name and come to greet her. We leave a big tip to make up for any inconvenience we might cause. She recently started walking and loves to use any open space. I take her for a walk outside twice a day with the stroller and we stop and she walks around whenever. When the weather is bad or when I just want to, we go to the coffee shop and sit at the very edge of the seating area, basically completely in the lobby. We go when there's the fewest people, because I don't want to bother anyone. We never stay longer than 30 minutes. She sits in her stroller and when she wants to, I take her out and we walk around the lobby. When someone smiles at her and they initiate a conversation, we stop and she smiles and babbles a bit at them and then we go. I steer her clear of anyone with a laptop, headphones, book, studying, on a meeting, and if she ever gets cranky we're out of there immediately. Recently an old lady would sit down at the table next to us and stare. She'll whisper under her breath some things about, not in our time, and, floozies. Last time when we were leaving I felt it appropriate to at least say, goodbye, have a nice day, to the lady as we were saying so to the waiters and a nice gentleman who'd made funny faces at my kiddo. She looked at me like a spat at her and started mumbling something about, horrible mother, and, no decency. I'm not a confrontational type so I just ignored it, but it's been bothering me. I've talked to my friends, most are child-free, and a few of them said I'm out of line bothering people with my child, and that people go there to have some peace and quiet. The ones who have kids are on my side, so hence why I'm asking here. So, aita for taking my toddler to a coffee shop? Next story. My family was doing a family reunion trip to a resort. I went with my girlfriend, I'm also a girl, and my siblings, cousins, and their spouses and kids. The first day, a bunch of the couples seemed to just assume my girlfriend and I would babysit when we were hanging out at the beach barbecue. Just telling their kids to go to us to play. We'd send them back to their parents a few times, but they'd complain they were busy and needed a break and ask us to help. But it didn't feel like just helping, when it was looking like we were in charge of 7 kids all night while all their parents were getting drunk. We weren't planning on drinking much, we often don't drink at all, but we decided to grab some cocktails and water. We drank them and then got the idea of pretending to be shit-faced drunk so we'd stop being considered the sober babysitters of the trip. We decided to pretend each cup of ice water with lime was actually a double-shot vodka soda. So whenever we had one drink we could act like we had 2 extra strong ones. I grabbed us another round of cocktails and waters and we started the act, basically getting really boisterous. And purposely stumbling or swaying on our feet. We still had an eye out for the kids playing near us. My girlfriend got up and decided to teach me some ballet, since she used to be a dancer, and she started doing moves messy on purpose and I'd copy them even worse, often falling down. My sister came over like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I slurred my voice on purpose and was like, "She teaching me ballet. She's so good at it, babe, show her." Then my girlfriend, with great comedic timing, tripped over the legs of my beach chair and I grabbed her to keep her upright. My sister asked how much we drank and I looked at the cups by our chairs like, that was a Long Island iced tea I think? I had 2 of those. And those were some vodka sodas? But I think they were like double pours? So like 4 drinks each? But I guess they were strong? My sister was like, so those were all double or triple pours? That's 8 drinks each at least. And I said, not the iced tea ones, and she said, Long Island iced teas have 2 or 3 shots each. And I said, oh, that must be why I'm feeling it, haha, maybe we should switch to beer, babe. Anyway, after that, my sister went to talk to the other parents and they all suddenly took their kids back. We'd only had 2 single pour drinks each, so we just chilled for the rest of the night. The next few nights, my girlfriend and I didn't even have to put on much of an act. As soon as we'd grab a single fruity cocktail, nobody tried to make us babysit. But on the last night, my mom caught us about how we'd played drunk, and she asked me what we meant. I owned up to it and said we hadn't actually gotten hammered that first night. We had 2 single pour drinks each and were just playing so that everyone would stop treating us like babysitters. Well, my mom told my brothers and sisters and they were pissed, saying that was immature of us to do, and really immature that we scared them into thinking their kids had been at risk. Next story. Recently a friend, 32F, of 9 years who I, 27F, considered one of my good friends texted me completely out of the blue saying that she didn't want to come to my wedding or be my friend anymore. Some backstory. I knew the friendship was fading but had just assumed we would slowly go our separate ways. Over the past few years I have often gone to her house to comfort her about everything that went wrong in her life, including things she really had a choice in changing. E.g., she didn't counter offer enough at her job before signing the contract, her new boyfriend snores and then she yells at him, her newest scooter's battery is too heavy to get to her great new job, etc. In contrast, in the past few years my 2 parents have had 3 cancer diagnoses between them, and my sister died, and any time I tried to talk to her about this, she just changed the subject. Anyway, this all happened 3 days after coming to my apartment, laughing, chatting, and exchanging gifts and books. When she was at my house, the only moment that seemed to upset her is when I asked her if she wanted to help organize my bachelorette party. She said she felt she wouldn't do a good job. I said I didn't really care and wasn't sure if I wanted one anyway. ND it could just be drinks and a movie at my place. If that, she was a bit cagey about it but at no point said, no, perhaps I cool Dave picked up on this, but also I think if you don't want to do something just tell me. So a few days later I get this long text saying she didn't want to be my friend anymore or come to my wedding. I was obviously upset because any rejection feels like garbage, and I tried to call her to discuss it but she wouldn't pick up. She said we should take time to let it sink in. I was still upset but just decided to give her some time. After a day or two I realized that anyone who would act like she did with no explanation wasn't someone I wanted to be friends with anyway. 5 days later, she messages to say she has written an essay on all her issues with me that I won't like. Also that it is too big to send by WhatsApp, frequently used in Europe for texting, so she will email it to me. This was accompanied by a lot of smiley emojis and friendly exclamation marks. I told her not to send the essay because I wouldn't read it as I no longer wanted anything to do with her, and I blocked her on WhatsApp. She then sent me green texts telling me I wouldn't grow if I didn't read this essay and that I was selfish. I then blocked her on everything. I'm sure I wasn't fully in the right, but the way she dealt with this whole situation seems completely wild to me. Aita for not reading her letter? TLDR, my friend of 9 years texted me out of the blue saying she didn't want to be my friend anymore. Days later she said she had written an essay that I wouldn't like about all her issues with me. I said I wouldn't read it and she yelled at me saying I wouldn't grow as a person.